What's up, everybody? My name is Sagacious Dude, and this is another Metal Gear Solid 5 theories. Today we're talking about Skullface. This is a video that's long time coming, mainly because I've had various theories, but like once Ground Zeroes released, a lot of those theories were debunked, and so I've been trying to figure out things, trying to understand the man, and like, he's very mysterious. A ghost without a past. Quick note about Skullface before we start. The mask he wears. Now, I don't know if they've like explained anything about it. I'm sure some people wonder why does he wear this mask? Like, what does it do? Like, I'm assuming in my head, and they may have already said this somewhere, but like I said, I only have the information I was given. But I assume it's because he's so, like, his face is so badly burnt. I bet his eyes, like, his eyelids don't work properly, or he can't, like, they got burned off, or they're, like, burned enough that he can't close his eyes correctly. And because when you see, if you look closely, and when he's wearing the mask, when he blinks, it's not like his skin color, it's black. So I'm assuming that there's probably something, like, on his eyes that, like, blinks it regularly so they don't dry out. Especially when you're in the middle of the desert. And it would make sense. I mean, yeah. But that's pretty much what I think the mask is. With me, like, these theories come from my experience in Ground Zeroes and the tapes from Ground Zeroes and, like, the trailers. And I try to restrict myself from looking too far for information because I don't want to, like I say, I don't want to spoil anything for myself. So these are just my assumption based on those things. And me just trying to kind of figure out, I care more about like who he is, like what's his plan, like what does he want, what's his goal, what part does he play in this story, like, because at first he's initially presented as like a bad guy, you know, he's there when Mother Base is destroyed, he's working with the people that did it, and then you're like, okay, so he's a bad guy. But then you start seeing the trailers for the Phantom Pain, and suddenly it appears like he's working with Big Boss. And I'm like, why is that happening? What could have happened? Like, how do these events make any sense? And I'm trying to make it all make sense in my head, and I'm just going to kind of lay it out the way I see it for you guys. So, we know Skullface was working with Zoff, apparently. Now, Zoff, I assume, is aligned with Cypher. And my whole thing is that Skullface, when he was a child, basically his village was bombed.
My village had an oilseed field and a fine factory. Every day, my friends and I would see our parents at work in that factory. That's all I had. All the world I knew. Then one day, aircraft came droning in from some far-off sky. The factory was bombed. Some spies had told them we were making weapons. The building burned. We tried to flee outside. The crowd blocked the exit. The crowd of people. Hot. So hot. I tried to push through their legs and get ahead, but a boot in my stomach put me on the ground. The smoke of them burning filled me up. I heard my name called, but not for long. At the infirmary they carried me to, a nurse in the corridor saw me and remarked, as if it happened every day, they should let the poor thing die. Those are the only words of my mother tongue I remember.
Basically, his village was destroyed. He was badly burnt, but somehow he survived. And now he works for Cypher. At the end of Ground Zeroes, you find out that he's actually looking for Zero.
Cypher's been in hiding ever since his grand experiment. No one's seen him in years. All we hear are orders delivered by proxy. Except you. You met with him. face to face in order to contact Big Boss. Tell me where he is. Where is Cypher? Where is Zero? I've never known choice. Where I was born, the language I speak, I've never had the freedom to choose for myself. But you, right now, are free. Do as you will.
This will save Big Boss.
It may.
Will you really kill Zero for me?
Not for you.
All right. Zero is...
He's interrogating Paz, and he's asking her where Zero is, because he gives all his orders by proxy. And Paz is the only person that's actually met with him. So she's his link. So if he's working with Cypher, why would he be trying to find Zero? The way that conversation goes, he obviously wants to kill Zero. Like, he wants to get Zero. Like, that's what it comes off to me as. Because Paz asks him, like, will you really kill Zero for me? And he's like, I won't do it for you. So I'm assuming in my head that Zero is probably the one responsible, basically, for his homeland being destroyed and him being badly burnt. And then he grew up, he became part of Cypher to get to Zero, but he hasn't been able to. Then Big Boss got into the facility, got Paz and Chico out, and then Paz jumped out of the plane, blew up, outer heaven, destroyed by Zoth. Shit just goes haywire, all that. There's this girl in the E3 trailer that kind of looks like Paz, but I'm like, I honestly don't see a way that she could have survived that. But I don't know. They might find some way to work it in, but she exploded. I don't know how she exploded, even if she was able to get the bomb out of her and then fall into the ocean. I mean, I know Big Boss survived, but damn, that's a stretch. I don't know. But that's pretty much all I got to say about that. So I'll just leave that little snippet in here. What I'm trying to understand is Zoth attacked Outer Heaven, destroyed it, pretty much killed everybody. Big Boss in a coma for 9 years. You know, just completely destroyed everything he built. So why the hell would he work with the man? My only, thing that I can think of to make that make sense to me is that, yes, Skullface was working with Zoth, but he was doing it to get to Zero. So it wasn't necessarily personal that he attacked Big Boss. And there's kind of more in that. Like, when you think about people, if somebody does you wrong, you have a hard time trusting them, but at the same time, they don't work like that. They're soldiers. They don't think like that. The best way I can equate it is when Solid Snake is talking about his relationship with Gray Fox in Metal Gear Solid. He's talking about when they had their fight in Zanzibar Land. And basically they were on opposite sides, but he still saw Gray Fox as a friend. Because he's like, I know the soldier life. It's like, you're a soldier. This is what you've been told to do. And we're fighting against each other. But it's not really personal because we're fighting for someone else. I don't know. You don't see them as necessarily enemies. And Big Boss is no stranger to taking enemies and turning them into allies. I believe Kazuhara Miller, Kaz, ended up joining Big Boss after he fought Big Boss, and then he was going to kill himself, and the Big Boss was like, don't kill yourself, and then they ended up getting together. That's their relationship in a nutshell, but I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but that's what I remember. Having that mindset, I could see why he would work with Skullface, because Skullface may have gone rogue from Zoth, from Cypher, and now he's like, I want to work with you so that we can get to Cypher so that I can kill Zero, because I want to kill Zero. And Big Boss is like, I want to get to Cypher because they killed everybody, and I want to kill Zero. So it's like, we're unlikely allies. That's how I see it working out. Plus, I definitely think there is something about Big Boss that Skullface is drawn to, specifically because if you listen to the interrogation tapes,
I know how you feel. I've felt that. So show me that I'm not the only one. That you too can return to this world for revenge. Do you see me? Don't die. Don't die!
When he's interrogating the guy, and he's explaining, like, his whole philosophy and his origin, how he was born and everything, and he's like, I should have died. Like, I should have died back then, but I came back because I want to get revenge. And he's like torturing the guy, but he's like, show me that you can do it too. And he's just like yelling at him. I mean, you can't see it, but he's like yelling at him and shit. And he's like, you show me that you can do it too. And then the guy like dies, and he's like, damn it. So it's like, I definitely see how he could be drawn to Big Boss that way, because Big Boss should have died, but he came back, and he's gonna get revenge. So I can definitely see him looking at Big Boss as like, I'm not the, like him saying, I'm not the only one that can do it. So I'm not alone. I'm not the only one. You can do it too. We're the same in that way. And I see that why he would have respect for Big Boss in that mindset. I also kind of see how he could be an enemy, because like I don't necessarily think he's gonna be an ally the entire time. It's kind of the enemy of my enemy is my friend type scenario going on, is what I feel like. So I don't really see them working together. Like, I don't know if it's going to come to the point where they work together and then they stop Zero's plan, or they think they stop Zero's plan, and then Skullface kind of deviates from that. Because you see that one part where Big Boss is hanging upside down and Skullface is like looking at him, and they're kind of giving each other the angry eyes, and you don't really see them like have conflict with each other, but you get the way the tone of the trailer sets up. I feel like at one point Skullface is gonna go like overboard, like way too far, and then he's gonna become an enemy of Big Boss, and then that's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen that way. I don't know. I feel like in the back of my mind that's the way it works, because he doesn't seem like an aligning character. Like, he's a friend. He's kind of like, he's an ally at the moment, but whenever it benefits him, I could see him turning, like, being a turncoat and doing whatever he wants to do. He's trying to accomplish his own goals next to Big Boss, and they just happen to align in this one thing. That's pretty much what I get out of that. But the main question we want to address is, in understanding Skullface, like, what does he want? Like, what is his goal? Like, what is he wanting to achieve? I think it's more than just killing Zero. I think it's bigger than that, because he also, when he's like interrogating that soldier, he makes mention that he's pretty much the only one left in his tribe, and he only knows a few words of his actual language, and he's like, why am I still alive when all of them are dead? And, you know, pretty much everything's been wiped off the map. He's like, I have to be alive for some sort of purpose.
I came to realize I mustn't die. I'm their last hope. All those who perished and left me here. I have to accomplish something. If I don't, their will be swept out of this world.
And in the trailer, there's that part where he says, Sans lingua franca, the world shall be torn asunder, and then it will be free. Now, took some investigating, but sans lingua franca basically means, sans means without, but lingua franca, if I'm saying that correctly, I hope I am, is basically, I'll read the definition. It's a language that is adopted as a common language between speakers whose native languages are different. It's also called basically a bridge language. Like, for instance, I mean, in the business world, here's an example. Like, say you have a French businessman and a Japanese businessman. Now, the French guy doesn't speak Japanese and the Japanese guy doesn't speak French, but they both deal with English people and they know how to speak English, so English could be basically be the bridge language that they would be able to communicate by. But if you look deeper into it, more like a theme, then it's lingua franca is basically like the connections that we make, like to communicate with people and like to form kind of a society. And I think that's what he wants is basically, since everything was taken from him and like he was raised, like basically his homeland was ruled by different people, and every time it was someone new, he had to learn how to speak their language, and whenever he did, he changed. There's definitely an animosity there and a hatred, but I feel like he just wants to destroy that. Like, he wants to destroy the bridge. Like, basically, if you think about it, the bridge is to connect, like, people from different nationalities, different backgrounds, different things. Like, the way that they're all able to come together and live with each other as a world, like, as a society, I think he wants to destroy that so that, basically, destroy the bridges, destroy the compromises we make to live in a society so that we can truly be free. Some people would think like freedom, we already got freedom. Like America, we got freedom for days, freedom everywhere. But it's, if you think about it in a real sense, it's not really freedom. And I'm not saying that anything like bad or negative about it. I'm saying that it's not what it's presented to be, because freedom is to act or to do things with no restrictions, none at all. Like, just be free to do anything you want. Thus, that type of freedom, and by destroying these bonds that connect people, that make them live in a society, by basically taking out like government structure, anything, like taking out the core of society, basically taking away laws, taking away everything like that, the individual is free to be whatever they want. And the world will be torn asunder because individuals will fight. And I think he plans to do this not necessarily just by taking out Zero. I think that's just part of the plan. In one of the other trailers, you hear this brief line where somebody says that Skullface wants to become a nuclear power. And I think that's kind of the tipping point. I think that's where he goes too far. Mainly because he's not, I don't think he's trying to get a nuke as like a deterrent. Like we've seen in other Metal Gear games, a lot of the nuclear age was all a deterrent. Basically to keep people from attacking each other. It's like, well, if you fire your nuke, I'll fire mine. But I think Skullface intends to let these nukes go on the world, and whoever's left is left, and society will be destroyed, and freedom will reign. Pretty much Fallout. The world will be just engulfed in chaos, and I think that's where his extremism is going to be. Like, Big Boss is going to be like, yeah, I don't know. But Big Boss does want, like, basically continuous war so soldiers always have a place to exist, but I think that's a little too extreme, that he just wants to destroy everything. Because I think Skullface is the opposite end of Zero. Like, Zero wants one government, everybody, mankind brought together as one. Skullface wants mankind torn apart and everybody just be who they are and be free to be who they are and do what they want. And basically anarchy versus, over way too much government. I don't know. But that's what that's what I see. And I feel like Big Boss kind of is more in the middle of that. But I think that's what his motivation is. And I think that's what he wants to do. And I mean, from what I've seen and heard, that's the type of character he presents to me. You see how he could respect Big Boss, but you also see how he could hate Big Boss because of what Big Boss is. Because if you think about him as himself, he basically, every part of his identity was taken away from him. His language, his face, everything. Like, he was built into these different people by these different rulers and everything, and he never really got to be who he was. So he is basically nobody, a phantom, if you will. But Big Boss is different. Big Boss is the soldier of legend, you know? Everybody knows who Big Boss is. And Big Boss's name will live on long after Big Boss dies. So you can kind of see where that, I could see that kind of jealousy building up into something. Like, I see, like, he could respect Big Boss, but at the same time he could kind of hate him, because it's like he's been given everything that you don't have, that was taken away from you. And he has a name, he has a face, he has his language, he has his society that he's building. It's like he's completely self-sufficient as a person. Like, he has everything he needs, everything he wants. And I could see how Skullface could feel a certain anger towards that. I mean, definitely. And I could kind of see them becoming a type of rival. I just don't feel like they're going to be the best of friends. Basically, I don't think that they're going to be, you know, allies throughout it all. At one point, I think they're going to fight. But that's my thoughts on the subject. Another random thought, I'll just throw it out there. I don't think it's true, but there was this one point in the beginning of it that really made me question one thing. And like I say, I don't think it's true, but just the way the beginning of the trailer starts, or when he's describing himself, and he's like, I was made to speak their tongue, and as my words changed, I changed too. And it's like, he's kind of like melding into other people and other races, and I'm like, you know, he doesn't have a face. What if he's Decoy Octopus? And they're kind of like shifting the origin story. But like I said, I really don't think that's the case. But it would be interesting if they did it like that, because it would explain, like, he's basically his whole life been no one and been shaped by whatever, like, society he's in. So it wouldn't be that far of a stretch to think that he could imitate people given the right, you know, abilities and stuff. But who knows? I don't know. But I figured I'd just throw that one out there. But yeah, that's all I got to say about Skullface right now. Yeah, I just want to get this out there. You guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video. You got any thoughts? List them below. Get the conversation started. And I'll talk to you guys later.
So, do you see me now? Tell me, what do you see? You have eyes. What do your eyes see? Yes, that's right. You see a skull face. You see me. This skull is who I am. My mark, my proof of humanity. I have no country, no language. I have no face. But I haven't lost my skull.